So here's an example of a true cost of all these regulations over the years that's happened. So I just got a call from one of the local council who incidentally got my number from, I'm not sure, she said I think either Facebook or somebody from Facebook gave her a number because we've got a number of properties in that area. So she rings me, she said, oh, I'm looking for something for one of my tenants who is going to be made homeless. I'm assuming he's been evicted, and elderly gentleman, and was wanting to look for something that the council will pay up to £750, but the tenant will then top up. He's relatively vulnerable because of his age, and she was the carer. But then I proceeded to say, well, ultimately, how long she's been going on? She said, oh, he's been bouncing around for the last 5 years from properties to properties, which can raise the signal about, well, why is that happening? Second, I then obviously gave her an understanding of, well, it's all good and well beating up landlords continually to say, well, heavy regulation, can't evict tenants. When you have to go to the tenants are not paying, the council tells the tenant, well, delay, tell that go to court, push it to court, and then you avoid being evicted. But all of that at some point has a repercussion on people like ourselves and everybody in the private rental sector, where we start to say, actually, we don't want that kind of tenant anymore, because we do not want to have a period where the tenant tomorrow stops to pay. And then she said, oh, well, the tenant, they're going to pay directly to you. But the regulation again states that the tenant tomorrow can say, actually, no, I want to get paid directly to me, and then I'll pay the landlord, and then doesn't pay the landlord, which is it's happened so many times in the past, and we've heard people go through the same problems. And I've tried to explain to you, it's a cumulative effect of what we've been facing for the last, I'd say, 10 years of regulation change that is culminating in conversation like this up and down the country, because people are not finding properties. The private rental sector are not willing to take on those type of tenants, and it's for reasons because if the tenant doesn't pay, it takes you 6 to 9 months to get your property back. Then all the financial cost and burden that you landlords face. The average landlord's got one property and is still working, so it's the financial burden to them. When the tenant go to the council, they are encouraged not to leave, because if they make themselves automatically homeless, they don't get any help from the council. So all of this culminates to examples of like this. I've just spoken to this lady about that. We can't help people who are homeless because we don't want to take the risk. Landlords don't want to take the risk anymore of taking people on and then find out that they don't pay, they're trouble, and it's going to be a real pain to get people evicted, and exactly what this person's going through at the moment. So then you fast forward next year when there's going to be no Section 21, and my kind of thoughts here are it's going to be a lot harder for people in this situation to find accommodation, because quite frankly, I guess you will all agree, we would rather leave the property empty for 1 or 2 months but get the right tenant who can afford, who's got the credit checks and pass all the references, than to take on potential challenging tenants. And then we face financial ruin in some instances when you can't get your property back and you don't even get your rent paid as well. And now Labour's trying to change the rules, not until 8 weeks of non-payment. They are suggesting 12 to 13 weeks of non-payment. That's that. So that means, and I think that's so painful for private landlords, because that's 13 weeks, that's 3 months of no rent. Then you've got court costs of around £2,000-3,000. So potentially somebody up in the north renting a property and making £200 a month net profit, £2,400. They don't get paid for 6 months, and then they pay to court. That's a whole year's worth of costs that they've incurred, and it's wiped all of their potential profit on that property as well, let alone that they have to manage it and service the property itself. So, and I think this is going to get worse, because the private rental sector landlords will just basically avoid tenants in this situation. Let me hear your thoughts, and it'll be interesting to see what you guys think.